Okay, so I'm not going to make a stream on this. I'm just going to make a nice 20-minute video of Johnny ranting about this bullshit because I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of people breathing life into it, okay? So Canelo Alvarez is now attempting to cherry-pick Terrance Crawford in the aftermath of his big win against Errol Spence. Now, from the way it's looking, Terrance Crawford is going to have to fight Errol Spence in a rematch because it's from what I've been hearing, it sounds like Spence actually went ahead and reactivated the rematch clause, which whoever manages and handles Errol Spence ought to be ashamed of themselves because he's going to get some permanent damage done to him in the rematch if it wasn't already done in the first fight. All right? Y'all, hold on, bleed. So this fraudulent, steroid-abusing, judge-bribing, cherry-picking, pole smoker, Canelo Alvarez, now wants to fight Terrance Crawford, who's not one weight class below him. No. Not 2 weight classes below him. 3 weight classes below him. And I just want to say this right now. This isn't a shot at Bud Crawford. I love Bud Crawford to death. He's one of my favorite fighters, bruh. God bless the man, and God shout out to Omaha, Nebraska. He's a ghetto-ass Midwest boy just like myself, so this ain't no shot at Crawford at all. Shout out to Crawford, his whole family, and their whole crew, all right? And I can't blame, and speaking of Bud, I can't blame Crawford for going after that shit. I'm not going to get mad at him for that, but who I will get mad at is Canelo Alvarez, bro. See, you guys constantly like to bump out this pound-for-pound shit. Okay, well, what has Canelo done in the last couple of years, 2.5 years? He got the shit kicked out of him by Dimitri Bivol. He fought a 40-year-old Golovkin who he very blatantly delayed the trilogy to that fight after losing to Gennady Golovkin twice. And it's funny because, and I will reamp this Golovkin shit again. Even though it's ancient history at this point, I'll still go back over it for you fucking simpletons. Golovkin was being ducked by the entire world back in 2015. 2013, 2014, 2015. Canelo was the middleweight champion after beating Miguel Cotto. He blatantly ducked Gennady Golovkin and vacated his title and went and fought Amir Khan and Chavez Jr., 2 bums. Okay? Then after blatantly ducking Gennady Golovkin and vacating his title, he finally mustered up the courage to fight Gennady Golovkin, lost to him, bribed the judges, and got a gift draw. Then after that, Canelo tests positive for steroids prior to the rematch happening. You know, and then these little fanboys will come out here and say, oh, well, he passed the hair follicle test. Well, if you're going to say that, also make sure you mention the part where the WBC adjusted the levels that Canelo was allowed to have in his system in order for him to pass that hair follicle test to begin with. He didn't pass. He was caught red-handed twice. And I like to, and I also, and the Canelo fans, just because they're very uneducated and uninformed, they also fail to ever mention that Canelo tested positive years prior to that in Mexico. But that got swept under the rug just like so many of these other things do. Just like when Floyd was doing some grimy shit, it gets swept under the rug, like with Floyd's therapeutic use exemption prior to the Pacquiao fight, right? So then he loses to Gennady Golovkin in the rematch, and yes, he lost both the first 2 Golovkin fights. And it's funny because I challenge people to rescore that second fight with me all the time, and nobody ever does, okay? Because I know there's going to be a couple of little Canelo meat suckers, ball suckers, that are going to come jump all over this video. So then he lost to Golovkin twice, ducked the 3rd fight, and ran over to DAZN to fight Rocky Fielding or one of them bums. Or Yavin Madrin or one of them fucking dudes, right? Golovkin followed Canelo over to DAZN And Eddie Hearn was trying to set up Golovkin-Canelo 3. Canelo sued him and Golden Boy out of his DAZN contract so he wouldn't have to fight that trilogy fight with Triple G. Then 4 years later, when Golovkin had visibly slowed down after he'd been in more wars with Derevyanchenko and Ryota Murata and had visibly slowed down and turned 40 years old, then he finally fought him for the third time after losing to him twice, vacating titles to avoid this man, testing positive on steroids and all this other shit. And that's what brings me back full circle. This isn't the first time Canelo Alvarez has pulled some shenanigans. It's not even the second time he's pulled some shenanigans. It's not even the third time he's pulled some shenanigans. This dude is just a corrupt, juiced up fucking dirtbag. And this is what kills me, bro. Because the Canelo fans are always whining about the Spence fans and the Wilder fans and the Gervonta fans. And to be fair, all of those guys are full of shit too, and they're fucking blatant racists. They are. The Gervonta, Wilder, and Spence fans. They open themselves up for the hate that they get, right? But for them dudes that fanboy for Wilder, Spence, Gervonta, etc., you dudes do that for Canelo just as bad, if not worse, as some of the brothers do for the guys I just mentioned. Y'all dick ride the shit out of Canelo, all right? So, and again, so let's see what Canelo's been doing recently. He got, and that's why I brought up that whole Golovkin thing. He got smashed by Dimitri Bivol 10 rounds to 2 with more corrupt scorecards where the judges had it 7-5, and if Dimitri Bivol didn't come out guns blazing in that 12th round, they would have called it a draw, which people also seem to like to conveniently forget, rather. Not only that, but then he went and fought 40-year-old Golovkin, and I just went through the gist of that saga with you, okay? Got smacked by Bivol, cherry-picked a 40-year-old Golovkin after losing to him twice and aging him out for the third fight, right? Then he fights a tune-up in John Ryder, which he thought he was having a nice little homecoming fight, but John Ryder showed a lot of heart and balls in that fight. Got dropped, but went the distance with him, right? That was supposed to be Canelo's tune-up. Now Canelo is cherry-picking a dude that's 2 weight classes below him. And I know what you're going to say. Well, Charlo's bigger than Canelo Alvarez is because he's taller and longer. Well, if that's the case, then Junto Nakatani is bigger than Tank Davis. Well, Nakatani's longer and taller, so doesn't that mean he's bigger? No, Canelo's the bigger man, bro. He's stockier. That dude doesn't even have a neck from all the steroids he's been injecting over the last 8 years or 10 years. So, this notion that, see, this is what Canelo fans do. They try to turn this narrative on its head and turn it into fact. Charlo is not the bigger man going into that fight. Canelo is. And that's exactly why it's a fucking cherry pick. Like I say, a lot of people wanted to see it, but I didn't give Lomachenko a world of credit for beating Rigondeaux. I gave him more credit for beating Devin Haney and beating Gary Russell and beating prime Jorge Linares than I did for the and Nicholas Walters, right? Just like you didn't give Spence any credit for beating Mikey, neither did I, because Mikey was a little hype job, blown up featherweight. Just like I didn't give Golovkin that much credit for beating Brook. You know, even though I think that was a better version of Kell Brook than the one that Spence fought. But nevertheless, I didn't give Golovkin a gang of credit for that one. So if you didn't give Golovkin credit for beating Brook, Loma credit for beating Rigondeaux, Spence credit for beating Mikey, you shouldn't be giving Canelo any credit for beating Charlo either, because it's the same fucking scenario, man. All right? And now, to make matters worse, because Canelo's a coward and a drug cheat and a corrupt judge briber, he wants to cherry-pick Terrance Crawford after his great performance over Errol Spence. Like I say, I don't hold nothing against Terrance Crawford. If that's what he wants to do, so be it. But, Canelo, if he's this pound for pound dude, like you dudes constantly like to say he is, you do know what pound for pound means, right? It means you're the best of your own size and could possibly beat some bigger guys. And Canelo has done a little bit of that in the past, to be fair, a little bit. You know, Callum Smith magically forgot how to throw punches against Canelo. Kovalev was weight trained, didn't get a full training camp, and got slapped with a rehydration clause. We all know that. As far as these bigger men go. And not to mention the aging fighters out. Mosley was 40, Cotto was 35 or 36 and well past it. Golovkin, same thing. I just went over all that with you. Even Floyd was 37 when Canelo fought him. All right? So, the one time that Canelo Alvarez actually stepped up and fought an elite-level fighter that was in their prime, and I'm not talking about a very good fighter, I'm talking about an A-plus, pound-for-pound type of fighter in Dimitri Bivol, he got his ass kicked and lost every round. All right? Every other good fighter he fought, they were either past it, there was some stipulation to it or something, bro. This is why I don't rank Canelo Alvarez as highly as some of you might. But now, to add icing on the cake and insult boxing his own fans even further, see, this is what kills me. Canelo Alvarez doesn't care about you. He obviously doesn't care about his own fans. So why are you so quick to defend him? Like I say, your old lady's trying to tell you to go to bed and get this pussy, but you up on the internet all night defending Canelo Alvarez's honor, you know. But, you know, with that said, now to add onto the fucking insults. He wants to cherry pick Crawford from not one weight class below, not two weight classes below, but 3 weight classes below. And I know there's going to be some little shithead in my comment section talking about, well, you do know that Canelo Alvarez started off at 147 pounds. Yeah, when he was in the 8th fucking grade, bro. And he, just like Pacquiao started off at 108 or 105 or whatever the fuck it was. Yeah. Well, you do know Canelo Alvarez started off as a 147-pounder. Yeah, when he was in fucking middle school, bro. When he was a freshman in high school. Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, because that's the excuse they'll use for him cherry-picking Crawford and bringing him up. Not 1, not 2, but 3 weight classes. Because you know Canelo will never meet him at a catch weight. You know that's not going to happen. So, you know, but there's no excuses for it. But just to remind you guys what pound for pound means, it means you're the best in your weight class and could possibly conquer other weight classes. Well, Canelo has never been the best in his own weight class. At 154, he lost to Floyd. At 160, he lost to Golovkin twice. At 175, he got absolutely smashed by Dimitri Bivol and got a boxing lesson. The only weight class you could argue that Canelo Alvarez was ever the best at was 168 because he went undisputed by fighting an inactive Billy Joe Saunders that hadn't had a relevant win in 5 years. But, you know, fair enough. And Caleb Plant's a solid little fighter, but he's not a world beater either. Like, he's a good fighter. I like Caleb Plant. I'm a Caleb Plant fan, but he's not a pound-for-pound world beater or no shit like that. Get the fuck out of here. No. So where does this pound-for-pound shit come in? Because he was never the best at 154. He was never the best at 160. And he's obviously not the best at 175, considering what Bivol did to him. And I won't even get into him ducking the Bivol rematch because we all know how that happened, but as I've went over 100 times. But for you guys, I'll go over it again. The first time they fought, the fight was at 175. He lost damn near every round. Bivol said, if you want a rematch, you're going to have to put your belts at 168 up and give me a little bit more money. Canelo didn't want to do either one of those things. That doesn't fall in the lap of Dimitri Bivol. And I agree that Dimitri Bivol's been inactive and he's pissed his entire year away. But that doesn't change the fact that that Canelo rematch falling apart it wasn't Bivol's fault. It was Canelo's fault. All right? Because he's a fucking diva and a crybaby. Now, him cherry-picking Crawford from 3 weight classes below has to be one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in boxing. Okay? Just because Crawford mentioned it doesn't mean Canelo has to breathe life into it and actually accept it. Because God forbid Canelo Alvarez actually has to fight somebody in or around his own weight class. God forbid he has to fight Dimitri Bivol again and actually give him a little bit more money and put up his fucking belts. God forbid he has to fight David Benavidez and actually fight somebody his own size or a little bit bigger. God forbid he has to fight Arthur Beterbiev, who he's been ducking for 4 years. People like to, he was willing to fight Kovalev. He was willing to fight Bivol. So why wouldn't you be willing to fight Beterbiev? Now, now you can mark my words on this, and I've been telling you guys this all along. If Beterbiev looks like he slipped or loses against Callum Smith, I guarantee you, Canelo's going to go right after Callum Smith if he beats Beterbiev, or if Beterbiev looks like he's slowed down after he finishes his PBC contract, he's going to go right after Beterbiev when he's 42 years old. Mark my words on that. If Beterbiev's still champion at that point, of course, right? Because God forbid this guy actually has to prove that he's a pound-for-pound fighter for once, because he never has in the past. Fear and entitlement. That's what Canelo Alvarez is used to. Canelo is a spoiled brat, an entitled spoiled brat. He's kind of like the dragon bitch off Game of Thrones that think everybody owes him the world. That's what I should call him, Canelo fucking Targaryen, because that's really what it... Canelo dragon bitch Targaryen, right? He thinks everybody owes him something, and he doesn't owe anybody anything. You know what you do owe Canelo? You owe the fans to give them the fight that they want. And the fight that they want is David Benavidez or Beterbiev or Bivol. Instead, you're cherry picking. I know the chocolate Nazi party of the LDBC is happy to see Charlo get a Canelo fight, but they're going to be disappointed come fight night because Canelo's going to blow through that dude. So God forbid Canelo Alvarez has to fight somebody in his own weight class at 168 or at light heavyweight. And don't give me this other bullshit about,
175 is not Canelo's weight class, bro. He started off at 147 pounds.
Yeah, when he was in fucking high school, bro. That doesn't count. First weight class I, and everybody else saw him fight at was 154. All right? And don't tell me that light heavyweight's too small for him when he's already won a title there. How is that not... And that's the same excuse he came up with after Bivol broke him to pieces. Well, it's not my natural weight class. So Bivol said, okay, I'll go down to your weight class and whip your ass again. So I don't want to, like Bivol's manager said, just so you don't have any more excuses. Oh, my hand hurt. It wasn't my weight class. This dude's a fucking embarrassment, bro. And this brings me to my final point here. And this brings me to my final point, and God forbid I just lost my train of thought. This brings me to my final point here. And I forgot what it was. Give me 1 second. It's gone. Doesn't matter. We all get the gist of this. Oh, there it is. Okay. This brings me to my final point. This is what the problem is when you give so much power to one dude in boxing. Canelo Alvarez literally dictates what goes on in 5 different weight classes. 175, 168, and 160 is kind of dead at the moment, so we'll leave that out of it. But he dictates, Canelo Alvarez dictates what goes on at 168, or excuse me, 175, 168, 160, 154, and 147. That is a fucking problem, people. And that's what happens when you give one dude the fucking keys to the kingdom, bro. He's a disgrace of a fighter, bro. He's always has been. And him trying to cherry pick Terrance Crawford is no fucking different. All right? Sorry, the truth hurts, bitch, just like Jack Nicholson told you. That being said, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Fuck Canelo Alvarez. And if you're feeling generous, drop the kid a cash app or join the channel membership, whatever floats your boat. And, yeah, eat a basket of dicks, Canelo, and get the fuck out of the sport. The sooner Canelo retires from boxing, the better boxing will be. Have a nice evening, everybody.